Hello guys, my name is Tanya and you're watching another chapter of my startup series. Today we are going to talk about one of the most essential parts of any project, and that is money. Where to get funds to develop business which is eventually supposed to bring profit. And before we start, I kindly ask you to subscribe to my channel to get notified when new videos come out, as well as to help me grow my startup. Let's begin with the most secured way of funding your business, with your own money. Whether it is your usual savings or a generous present from your parents or grandparents, the benefit is you can do whatever you wish with your own money and you don't need to ask any approval. In case you don't have enough capital, you will have to see where to get more. As an example, doing a side job or selling a car, or simply concentrate on saving more. Run in the park instead of paying for a gym membership, eating at home instead of eating out, cutting on your clothes budgets, transport, maybe skip holidays once a year. Finally, if your financial situation is really tight and there's nothing else to cut, you will have to choose one of the next options. Now, you will have to ask someone for money. Anybody you know. They can be your family, your relatives, your close friends, even your Facebook friends. However, you do need to realize some possible consequences. Because when money intrudes into your relationship with someone, the loss of equality between you and your friends is inevitable. Where you end up in a position of a borrower, I don't want to sound pessimistic, but relationship will never be the same again. And in most cases, people have to sacrifice their friendships for the sake of getting funds for their business. It is high price to pay, and I personally wouldn't do it. On the other hand, you will have to give something in return. You will obviously have to give the money back, hopefully you're able to, or the lenders will ask you for a share of your company, and depending on so-called conditions and on the size of a share, you can say yes or no. Anyway, it's not my favorite source of funding. Now, unlike friends and family who might not always have money to borrow for your startup, next source of funding won't have this problem, because so-called angel investors are people with money. In reality, they have way too much money. They simply don't know what to do with it. They have problems though. Usually, lazy sitting money tends to lose its value, and in order to avoid damaging effect of inflation, wealthy people curiously look for attractive offers to invest their precious money. Mainly wealthy persons, celebrities such as actors, singers, sportsmen and women, or retired CEOs. One of the examples I can think of is the latest investment of Prince Harry into a Silicon Valley startup. I think they are developing a relaxation anti-stress app. Harry being an angel investor for these guys. Regardless of a nice name, angel, or the fact that these people are affluent and looks like couple of millions won't make any difference, it's not a charity and they are not planning on just tipping. In fact, there are strong, knowledgeable managers behind angel investors who will evaluate your project and probably consult other business experts to make sure they are investing their treasures into something really valuable. We are slowly moving to more challenging and at the same time common way to get your startup money. Similarly to previous investors, the bankers are extremely careful about business financing, because banks need to be 100% sure of probability of the project they are about to invest. The advantage of this source of funding is that there are loads of them. Banks are pretty accessible. You can just walk into any bank and ask for credit, and if you get declined, you go to the next one until you get what you want. However, banks are far from flawless. It's not easy to get a loan for your startup, especially if you don't have enough funds on your account in this bank. And secondly, they would like to see that you have invested a stack of capital into your business before asking them to show your trust. Apparently, you will have to work a lot apart from your project on presenting all necessary paperwork, business plan, expenses sheet, and projected cash flow for the next 3 to 5 years. It will depend on the bank or on the country you are in. And in order to help you a little with that, you can find a detailed instructions of how to write a proper business plan in one of my videos. It is not unusual that bank loans conditions will vary depending on economic situation of the country. As example, interest rates are hiking incredibly lately, so you will have to consider higher costs of paying off your debt along with interests. Generally, economic crisis is not good for any small businesses, which doesn't mean it's a reason to quit. However, another absolutely critical factor to consider. The next source is something similar to angel investors, but unlike the first ones who typically will invest in your startup exclusively because they work in a completely different industry, they just want their money to be elsewhere, bring some profit. Venture capital investors are completely dedicated into investing in startups, and they clearly know what they want. Venture investments typically come in the form of a loan and equity or both. They will want an interest 10 to 14%, a share in your company or both. Since the interest of the loan is quite high, this type of funding will perfectly suit companies with high growth potentials or companies with solid cash flow, which have an ability to bear these high costs of investment. In cases when venture investors take share of your company, they become active participants in your everyday business as soon as the contract is signed. Another way to get startup money is actually my favorite. It's a popular way to raise money from a crowd of common people. Crowdfunding allows anyone make small contributions into your business in return of a gift. It can be a product that you are developing. Additionally, it can be sort of collaboration when you mention their names or names of their small businesses on your product or invite them into an event. In other words, crowdfunding is a sort of exchange or a win-win for both sides. And because you already gave something, you are not expected to give money back. However, you do need to have a developed product to go ahead and offer in return for a small investment from a huge amount of people to generate your startup capital. Another flaw of crowdfunding is time consumption, where you have to interact with each investor for these barter deals, sending gifts, communication, organization, and other draggy procedures. Another factor to keep in mind for time management and human resources inside your company. A governmental grant is pretty acceptable source of funding. This program gives funds to small businesses. Unlike loans, you don't have to pay interests, but governmental institutions will ask you for something social in return. For example, a company who won a grant for reconstruction of a shopping mall will have to build a school and so on. This program also provides basic education for small business owners and young entrepreneurs in special centers. It's a fantastic program which is mostly designed for vulnerable part of society, like women who suffered domestic abuse, economically disadvantaged people, war veterans, etc. So if you fall under any category, single mothers, large families, victims of harassment, refugees, etc., and you have a solid business project and a business plan that emphasizes positive social impact, you have good chances to get a governmental grant for your startup. This program is developed in most of the countries under slightly different conditions, so you should definitely study how it works in your country. Now that you have a great list of resources to work on your startup financing, I would like to wrap up everything above by saying that all the resources can be used either separately or combined. Maybe you are willing to invest all or part of your money into your business. Maybe you got a rich uncle who wants to help, an application for a bank loan or an angel investment. All the combinations are possible and recommended, so you won't be sort of compromised with one of them. It is much work though to jungle through all your meetings and business plans and paperwork, etc. But nobody said it was easy. That's it for me today, and if you enjoyed watching my presentation, go ahead and hit like button to encourage me to create more videos like this.